Okay, so I will be starting now. Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
And this one. So I will be continuing from the last session. Like in the last session, we did it numerically, right? So now we will try to do the same thing using the quantum simulator. That it was, So, do you guys remember the formula to calculate expectation value of x for two cross two matrix? The identity one thing. Can you read the last one? Yeah, this one. So we did it till this, right? So we got that the expectation value of m, where m is your Hermitian matrix, m is Hermitian matrix. So I'll be pointing the things out right now, like making a list of it, what we have did till now. So first taking a matrix that's Hermitian. So from that we can decompose it in a form where it can be written as A identity plus B x plus C y plus D z. Then what we did is we calculated the expectation value of just z, and it came up to be psi. Then just measuring the qubit, and then taking p0, probability of 0 minus probability of 1, and this is your expectation value of z. So for here we have dz. So for dz, it will be something like d into p of probability of 0 minus probability of 1, right? Same thing goes for x and y. X, we say that starting with a psi, we apply a H gate, then we measure it, making this one as new eigenvector, transforming it into new, not eigenvector, new state, psi, and then taking p of 0 minus p of 1 of that psi dash, right? And then for the y, we can do it by using psi and, putting a r z gate of minus pi by 2, then putting a h gate, then measuring it, and then doing then saying that this one is transformed in psi double dash, and saying that p of 0 minus p of 1 for psi double dash. This will be your y, right? This is your x. So we got this formula. And for identity, you know that for identity, this thing will be psi I psi, and identity can be done like this, and psi should be equal to 1, and the probability should be equal to 1. So we got this formula from. Excuse me. So we got the formula from here, right? So let's try to do this on a quantum computer, like not the actual quantum computer, but the simulator given by IBM. Okay, so let's start with a new new Jupyter notebook. So I have pre-imported these things. Like it takes like 4 to 5 minutes. So I have pre-imported it. So the first line, as you can see, the first line is just quantum register and classical register. Second one is circuit executor and the AER which runs the quantum simulator. This thing will be new. So just like Qiskit, there is a module named Pennylen, which can also be used to, what can I say, to program a quantum computer, but the programming will be done on a simulator only, not on the actual quantum computer, as per I know. So, and this is the NumPy. You would have read about it. So I have imported NumPy as NP. I have imported Pi as from NumPy. I have imported Pi, and I have defined a simulator. That's your quantum simulator. Okay, and this is just for what can I say? No, we don't need this actually. Yeah, we don't need this. That was for the complex number. So let's try to be on the real thing now. So uh, let's make a matrix. That's your Hermitian matrix. So like 1, 2, 1 will be your can be your Hermitian matrix, right? So its conjugate transpose will be 1, 2, 2, 1. So there is a module in Pennylen which can like decompose this matrix into the I, X, Y, and Z. And I don't remember the code. That's why I have done it earlier also. So let me just copy that and I will explain it to you. So this is the code. Okay. So I have imported your Pennylen as QML. So from QML.unit, this is the way of doing, like defined formula for doing it. You can search for this on the website of Pennylen also. It will be there. So we just put our matrix M there, and then we get coefficient and object list. Like if you don't like just put this and print coefficient. So let's see what. Oh, it should be np dot matrix. Let's see. Yeah. So we got 1 and 2, and the OBS list is its identity at 0 and X at 0. So what does it say? That it is something like this. So the first element is 1 into identity at 0. We are working with only one qubit, as 2 to the power 1 is 2. So we can get our 2 cross 2 matrix in just one qubit. So it's 2 into I plus your 2 coefficient of X matrix is 2. So it will be 2 into X. Okay, it's something like that. But this formula does this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't understand the coefficient part.
Okay, so just like I said that a matrix M, can be decomposed in this part, right? So these are the coefficients A, B, C, D. So these after decomposing, the coefficient and the object link. Object link is just the attributes with which the coefficient is listed, right? If I just print this, let's say print this, comma your list list. It's just object list. So you can see that for identity, it says coefficient of identity will be 1. Coefficient of poly X is 2. Right? It's just that. Like it says coefficient of identity is what? It's the first element. That's 1. Coefficient of the x is this one, right? The position. The first one linked with the first one, the second one linked with the second one. Did you get it now? Hello?
Yeah, I got.
Yeah. Okay. So we just use another module named Hamiltonian, which takes your coefficient and the objects and print it in a like visually appealing way. So what if you just print h now? Print h. Same thing, but in like more visually appealing way, like one identity to f0, right? So from there, we now know that our matrix can be decomposed in this form and written in 1 into identity, 2 into x naught. So we got this thing, our s thing, our m. So our m is 1 into identity plus 2 into x. So the first step has been done, right? This first step has been done. Now we need to for a random like what say state psi, we need to find the expectation value of z. So first we need to make a random what can I say random state psi. So for that I just use make a QC is equal to quantum circuit of 1 qubit, and then say QC uh, QC dot u3, and just give a random 1 comma 2 2 comma 3 and on 0th qubit. Like these are the three parameters that you need to. Okay, so u3 is a gate. Okay, so when I do this, it gives me a circuit. If I print it, qc dot draw, it will give me the circuit, right? So U3 is a gate that takes three arguments. So these three are the first three arguments, and the 0 is where you want to put our circuit. So we got this. We got our random state. Now we want to measure it in for getting our this expectation of z. So to do that, we just need to measure it, right? So now we define a function. We define a function as, let's say, measure z, and we give it our QC. And in this, we do uh, like QC1 is equal to QC dot copy. What does the copy do? It just copies the circuit onto a new circuit. So it's now done. So we can do QC dot 1 dot measure all. Okay, measure underscore all. This measures all the qubits. So we have only one qubit, so it will measure that one. Now, uh, now we want to like run this circuit on a quantum computer, right? So I will just copy those code as it's a bit long. Uh, and after that, I will explain it to you as well. Like it's a bit. Sorry. QC1. Right. So these are the simple codes for executing it on the simulator, right? So you have learned about this. Put into your circuit, put your backend, give the number of shots. Let's give it. Let's define it before our loop. Control C A. Let's define it to be 10,000. Yeah. Okay. Then a dot result. It gives us the result. Then this gives us the count. So after this, what we want is we want what can I say? counts we want 0, the number of counts of 0 minus counts of 1, right? Divided by total number of counts. So total number of counts will be count 0 plus count 1. That's this thing. Let's name this z expect. Z expect is equal to this. Should make it a bit bigger. Then we return this thing. We return z expect. Should run. If we just put in this QC, it should run. Let's see. It's not callable. Why is it not callable? Okay, let's print count first. See if this is working. This is working, so it should be callable. Am I getting some syntax error? Let's see. Oh, okay. So it should be something like this, not the bracket. Okay, so the probability is 0.99. Okay. Maybe this will work. It should be this minus this divided by the whole thing. I don't know why. Okay, so it's just dividing by count 0 and then adding count 1 to that. This should be working. Yeah. So we got our that expect for that at 0.056. Now let's do it for your y1. So I will just copy this thing and just make some tweaks. Let's make this x. Okay. So everything should be all right. X. But this is for shy. What we need is for our shy dash. We need it for shy dash. So till this we have a shy. We have a state shy here. And to convert it into shy dash, we need to apply a escape. So we just do qc1 dot h on pivot 0. Now it's being transformed to shy dash, right? And now if we measure this thing, we will get our expectation value of x. Yeah, so expectation value of x is this much. Now to get expectation value of y, we can just copy this one, paste this one, change a bit. Let's name it measure y. This one is y. This one is y. But here also we have. Wait, no. We have and what we need to do is convert that shy into shy double dash. That's by applying a R set gate with angle minus pi by 2 and then applying a H gate. So it should be QC1 dot rz gate. It should be rz gate, right? So, see, where did we formulate that one? Should be z. I just want to make sure, yeah, it should be shown. So your sigma y is something like this. So applying this will make you stay minus 5 by 2 comma 0, which will be applied on to 0 on QC1 dot h, and it could be applied on 0. It's in state psi double L. Now when we measure it, we will get our expectation value of that. Let's see this copy this one. Control V, and the QC that we want to put in is this one, the QC1231. We do this, and we get our expectation value of y as this, and expectation value of identity is just one, right? So the expectation value of h, the m is 1 into identity plus 2 into x. So you can just say that expectation value of your m, expectation value of m for psi, the specific psi that we give in is something like 1 into identity. For identity, we get expectation value is equal to 1, so it's just 1 plus 2 into measure underscore. Let's not call this measure. Let's call this expectation value ext1, expt. Let's call this expt1. It should be easier to remember, like for using it for next time. Let's call this expt x, expt expectation value of x. Let's call this one as expt y, and then we expt. Now when we do this, we just say expt of we need for x, right, in QC. So you see why is it giving something like this? Oh, okay. So I forgot to hashtag this one. So it's given different thing again and again. So after defining, I just comment it on. Okay. So we got our expectation value of m with respect to this QC. So it's 0.28 something like that. Okay. So this is how we calculate the expectation value of a matrix M, that's Hermitian, with a random state psi. Now we need to optimize this one, this state psi, such that we get the expectation value as to be minimum. Okay. So what we can do is, for now I will teach you guys about the different optimization algorithm and how they work. Uh, After that, I will just use one of them and calculate this, like calculate the minimum expectation value of this. Right? If you know the expectation value after treating the QC, you will get something expectation value which is close to the lowest one. Okay. So did you guys understood this thing, like how to calculate expectation value with respect to, what can I say, a specific state psi? Yeah. Any questions? can do one more thing just to make this thing more clear. Like I can take the state of it. Just give me a minute. This one just takes the state out of it, and just so what did I just do is find the state that correspond to this random QC. So this is your shy. I'll just something like this. Okay, so this is your state psi, and we know our MS is. Now, if we do, let's say np dot dot uh, psi, it should work, I guess. Comma np dot dot your m comma psi. Should do this. No. Okay. So I will have to name psi transpose psi underscore p, that's equal to conjugate transpose of this. Okay, C control P, and that's just like this, and make this one minus. It should do. Okay, it didn't work like that. Maybe this will work. Oh, science. Why? Okay. Yeah. So we got something like 0.299. So this is the actual one, and this is calculated from the simulator. So they are pretty close. 0.001, something like that. Error of 0.001. Okay. So what did I just do is take a shy like I just like numerically calculated it. We had a shy something like this one 0.8 something. Let's call it AB. Okay. So what did I do is take a transpose of this. So X A comma B. Sorry. The shy should be A comma B, something like this. I took conjugate transpose A comma B, and then calculated that thing. Psi m shy. Like np dot this thing, then np dot this thing. This thing, the command that np dot A comma B, np dot A comma B takes dot product between A and B. So I did that, and we got a 1x1 matrix, like just one element. That's 0.9. So do you guys have any question how to calculate this thing, like and in any part? Yeah. If not, I can just go to the part where I talk about gradient descent. Just say yes or no, please. Am I even audible? Hello?
Yes, please proceed.
Yeah, okay. Just tell me that, like, I don't know if I'm audible or not. My connection is quite weak today. That's why. Okay, so I will just upload this one as well, this commands as well. And if you guys have any problem later on, you can just ask me. Okay. So let's see. Let's make a new file. Okay, so it's about gradientation. Yes. Let's say we have a like formula. Say a formula. Let's say we have a y is equal to something like x minus 3 whole square plus 5. Okay. So and for this I need to find the 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 value of x for which we have lowest y. Okay. So first thing that comes in your mind is just plot it. Okay, just plot the graph. Like it will be something like x plus 3, it's 0, something like here, and should be something like that, right? So you can do this thing. But let's say if we have a formula like y is equal to x1 minus 3 ka whole square plus y1 sorry x2 plus something something, and it's of dimension n. Like there are n number of variable that affects your y. So for that we can't plot just graph and find the minimum value of y for that. And for that that is like doable in just 1D, 2D, and 3D. Okay. So for these things we use multiple number of optimization algorithms like gradient descent, Covila, and all other. Okay, so let's first see how the gradient descent, like the gradient descent is like the basic of all algorithms. So let's see how gradient descent works in just one variable, one dependent variable. So dependent variable, that's y is equal to f of x. Okay, so first let's plot that graph. So this is your thing, this is your graph. So by seeing this, you can say that the minimum point should be here, but the computer doesn't know that, right? So what do we do is just take a random point anywhere. Let's say we take a random x here. Okay, we take a random x here, and what we do is mark this x as x naught. Let's say x naught. Then we calculate f of x naught. That's something y naught. Let's say something y naught. It's y naught. Then what we do is do f x naught plus epsilon, f of x naught minus epsilon. Then we calculate this thing, y of plus epsilon, y of minus epsilon. So something here will be your plus epsilon, y of epsilon plus, this will be something y epsilon minus, y minus epsilon, whatever you can see. Okay, something like this. After this, we see which one gives us lower value of y, and we will just go in that direction. Okay, so after doing this, we find that the y x naught minus epsilon, this one gives us the y minus epsilon that's less than y naught. So we go in this direction. Okay, so for after this we come here. Now our new x naught is this. We do the same thing. Then you can clearly see that we will get a x naught that's this, right? After doing it for like say multiple times, we'll get something here, and after this you will see that uh, uh, further going in this direction will only increase. It won't decrease. Now in this direction it will decrease because it's if I just zoom in a bit this part and I like make a box and zoom in, it can be seen in this way that your x naught is here, and if you jump up here you will get this, if you jump down you will get this, something like this. So you will tend to go in this way. After this you will see that going in this direction will increase, going in this direction will increase, but in the larger amount. So you just stop here. You just stop here because in both direction they're increasing. Then you say that this one like somewhat close to the minimum. Let's make the box here and enlarge it. Say this one. Say that this y, let's say end. So y end is the minimum y f, y is equal to f of x. That's not actually the minimum, but that's the closest we can get with this algorithm, something like that. Okay, so this is how the problem works in 2D. Okay, so let's say if we have a graph something like this, and we start with here. So we will go here and here and here and here, something like this, and it's like a dropping ball. Okay, so actually it won't get that close to the minimum value, but it will go pretty close, something like this. Maybe here, then it will just bounce off and come here, something like this. Okay, so but the problem with this gradient descent algorithm is that it can get stuck in a local minimum. Let's make this one a bit deeper. So in this you can clearly see that the minimum should be this. Y minimum should be this. But if we choose this point, then we get our minimum. If we choose this point, we get our minimum, like something like this, dropping a whole thing. If we start here, then we get this. But if we start slightly on the left, we get a minimum like this, and anywhere here you will get a minimum like this. So it will get stuck in the minimum that's not actual minimum, but it will say that this is the minimum you can get for this y is equal to fs. This is the problem with this is a problem with gradient descent. Okay, so keep this one is in mind, but that's why we develop more complicated and more advanced algorithms to calculate the minimum, what can I say, the minimum value of a function, so that it can't get stuck in these local minimum. Okay, so for let's say for 3D, let's just import a graph from Fluid 3D plot image. Let's copy this one. Copy image. Can I paste it here? Yeah, we can do that. Uh, let's see. Thanks. Sorry, so paste that one. This one is, we will use it later, I guess. Okay, so this is your graph. Let's say for 3D, you guys got the thing for the 2D, right? Just say yes, you guys got it. Or I'll have to do it once again if you want. Yeah. Do you guys have any problem with the 2D thing in understanding the 2D?
Yeah, I got it.
How the blending? Yeah. Okay. So for the 3D, we can say that we take a point something here. Okay, and for this we have 4 directions. Like we can have multiple direction, like it's 3D, so we can get in this direction, in this direction, in this direction. But we stick for explanation. I will stick for 4 direction. Let's say this one, this one, this one, this one. Say this is x, this one is y, and say this is z. Okay, so I will stick with minus x, x minus y, y. Okay, so for understanding, let's stick with only one direction. Okay, so it will calculate the y epsilon for all these 4 directions, something like this. Okay, it will see that this one gives a pretty like lower, this one gives a higher, this one gives a higher y, but this one gives a comparatively low than all these three. So it will just shift the point to here. From here, it will see this one, this one, this one, this one. It will go here. For here, for after this, it will go here. Something like then here, something like, and it will like get stuck in this minima, but it won't be the actual minima. Most of the case, you will get your minima, but in like 20 or 30% of the case, it depends on how you choose your initial value. Like if you choose an initial value here, then it will be easier to get here. If you choose a minimum value here, it can go here and then go here, or it can go here, something like this. If you choose anywhere between this area, it's tend to go in this one. If you choose any the initial value, that the x naught, then it's tend to go in this one. If you choose anywhere here, something like it, it's tend to go in this one. Okay, something like that. You can see this one as rolling a ball. Like on a hill, you just put a initial x naught, y naught, and just roll the ball in. Just let it roll, and let's say let's say you put a ball here and let it roll. Then it will get into the low, like what can I say? The closest minima it can get, something like that. So here it will go something like this. If you say here, it will go something like this, right? So it's something, gradient descent is something like that, like rolling a ball off a hill and trying to find the point where it just damps and just stops. Okay, something like that. Do you guys understood this thing? Like how to get that into? Yes, no, please. Yeah, anyone? Do anyone of you have any question? Just say no if you don't. Right? Okay, then I can proceed. Just like this, if we have a 4D, like say 4D graph, So it will have three variables, like dependent variables, right? So our y will be dependent on three variables, and you won't be able to plot. Like we can only plot in 3 dimensions, right? So this one will be there, but you won't be able to plot it. So we can just put it in the gradient descent and hope that it will find. So for that, you will have something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the one above it, 6, something like this. These many direction to go in. For n, there will be uh, for at least 2n direction where the ball can go, like upward, downward, this, and any other direction. Like okay, so this is how we calculate our minimum value from gradient descent. We can we can calculate that thing too. Let's say this is our graph. So this is our graph. Okay, this is our graph for expectation value of E, expectation value of your matrix M, and this is your psi. So there will be a psi for which we get our minimum. It won't be the actual minimum, but yeah, close to that. Okay. So we somewhat like we started with a psi naught. That's our random, starting with 0, and then putting a U3 gate of 1, comma 2, comma 3. Then we are getting this psi naught. So we have a sonnet where we can start. We just need a algorithm so that it can bounce back in that thing and find the minimum of it. Okay. So we will use Covila. So I won't talk about. I guess it's times like can it's 2:53. So maybe I should stop and talk about the Covila and how it works and how to code that and cast it in the next lecture, or should I just continue? The coding part will take only like 25 minutes, not more than that. So should I just finish that and close this introduction part, or should I take another session? Hello. Okay. Okay. I guess no one has a problem. So I will just go a bit. Uh, so let's say we have a okay. So we have something called Covila. That's an optimizer. Okay. So we'll be using this optimizer to optimize. That's optimize means finding the minimum, optimizing our E dash M. So let's first make a definition that gives our this thing E minimum. Let's call it this E underscore M. Let's call it E underscore M, and we put our QC in. And when we put our QC in, it just gives us this thing. It gives us okay, this one. Let's not call this. Let's say we get A is sorry. Okay. Min val is equal to say A into 1, that's 1, plus B into EXPT of X plus B into EXPT of Y plus B into EXPT of Z. Okay, and return our value VA. Now let's define ABC. So where is it? This is your M. So your ABC is A is equal to 0, or A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2, C is equal to 0, and D is equal to 0. So we defined ABCD. We have our function ready. No, we have to put in our QC, right? QC. QC, we put the QC in QC, let's define that. Now let's if I just put E underscore and QC, then I should get that to 0.2. Not, oh. So it's probabilistic in nature, so it will just go up and down, something like that. 29224. We can just increase the number for, but it will take more time to do that. Okay, more time to calculate these things. So let's stick with this. Just probabilistic in nature, as you can see. So let's do one thing. Let's use Copilot. So I have the code ready. Is it this one? This one. Okay. So for that, yeah, we have to make an answer as well. Yep. We can just do this. Okay, so one more thing, that for this one we just take a x, right? We can go here x minus x naught, epsilon, x plus epsilon. But in case of psi, we can't just say that psi minus something, psi minus epsilon, psi plus epsilon, something like that. So we make a answer for that. Let's not get into the naming thing. It's just a psi that have some parameter. It's something psi x comma y comma z, not x comma y comma z. Let's say a comma b comma c. That changes with this thing. So we will try to find a psi with respect to a comma b comma c. Like for what a comma b comma c, we get this thing as our min. Right? So it just made this thing into a three-dimensional problem. Sorry, three-variable problem. So how to make a random? We made a random. We just need to make a function out of it. We made a random state psi, right? We just need to make a function out of it. So we can just say that our function def random is equal to rand psi use psi parent is equal to your QC is equal to quantum socket 1 qubit QC dot U3. Okay, we say here 0. This is just, let's say, initialize at 0. It just 3 elements array, just like I said, a comma b comma c. So we just make it in a way 0 1 2 comma on 0th qubit So this is our m dot. We have a psi that changes with params. As we change parameters, we change our psi. So now we can like vary these three parameters so that we can find a psi that gives our name. Okay. So this is we made our psi. Now we need an optimizer. We got we got varying type. Uh, we got what to minimize. So we got our two things like we got our varying x, we got our this y value what to minimize. We just need the algorithm that can do that. Mm, So the algorithm that does that Covila, Qiskit has a module for that also. If you just search Covila Qiskit, you can go into their directory and just see. It's all there, right? It should be okay. So we just need to import Covila and then we can use it. Okay. So let's do that. So I have the whole thing ready here. I can just copy it. Wait, did it go to be here somewhere? Yeah. Okay. So this thing, I will explain this to you. Okay. So first thing is this Qiskit Aqua optimizer that it's just this thing. From there we want to like import that thing. Okay. So from there I import Covila. We don't need all these things. Like these are the different optimizers as well. Like if you go to this, you can see there are multiple number of optimizers that you can use. So I'll be using Covila. So I imported Covila. Then I set that the maximum number of iteration it will do is 100. Like this one, the maximum number of jumps it can take 1, 2, 3, 4 should be 100. Like we don't want it to run like too much. Like it will take an hour or two if we run this on 100 go. This is the tolerance that we want. Like until what limit you want your Covila to stop. Like it's something like this. Like what Covila will do is if you get something like this is highly exaggerated. Like let's say this is of order -3. Let's say 0.00. So if the next iteration is under this range, then we will stop that iteration there and then only. That's what tolerance is. So I'm setting it. Normally it's set at 0.01, but I will take 00 as it's like the our circuit is not that heavy, so it will be able to run all the same. Let's take 0.01. So our optimizer is ready.
Yeah, tolerance means the value of epsilon.
Yeah, it's kind of that. Right? For Covila, for the gradient descent, the epsilon remains same, but for Covila, the epsilon changes with time, like changes with the number of iterations. So this thing is something like that, but not exactly that. Okay, so it's just like uh, say say yn minus yn minus 1, like nth iteration yn minus 1th iteration. Like it we don't want our Covila to run something like this, go something like this here then here, and then like something like doing a dance at the exact minimum. Say this is our minimum, and we don't our Covila to do just this. like we want it to stop. It will take time and we won't get anywhere. Okay, so we just want to stop when the next iteration is more or less near the first one, something like that. Okay, so the smaller you will make this, the smaller your the closer you will get to the exact value, but that will take like exponential time. Okay, so we just make our optimizer. This is our optimizer is ready. Now we just you can find these commands on this also. So just search for optimizer in Cascade. So what does this do is take a optimizer. That's our optimizer. What we want to optimize is defined by this. It's something like np dot dot something like that. Like say for taking dot, we say that np dot dot. So for the point of np, we have our provider. That's optimizer. Dot 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 is that what do we want? A comma b. This is how we take dot product in NumPy, right? So it's something like that only. So we have our optimizer, we have our module. What we want to do, we want to optimize. What are the initials for the two dot? We have a and b. For here, we have three variables, like 1, 2, 3. So we define a number of variables is equal to 3. Then we say what's our function. Our function is range side. So we just call this one control C. We say that this is the value that we want to be minimum. We want minimum initial point. So it asks for the initial point where you want to start. Okay, so we just give it a 0, 0, 0. This one, what we defined earlier, and this let it go. Params is not defined. Okay, let's call this S. So this will now run. So we got our minimum at the exact point. Okay. Wise. So I'm getting I have to return the that. It's not returning the PC. I should throw some error. Let's see double. Clean double point five fails to convert argument into call function. I have to define this thing. I have to define this thing. I give a QC to that. It will perform this thing. I have that as well. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting so I have that and that's ready. Okay. I have our cost function ready as well. I have the definition ready. Then, okay. This cost function. Where is the cost function? Okay. So we can't do it this way. We need to give it the parameters. And then we need to put this one at the place of UC. Let's make a new command to that. So what this is saying that we don't have a cost function really. Let's make a cost function. cost function, it should get parents in. Then it should calculate these things. So see where QC is nothing but this one. Okay, so what the problem was that our rent psi, that cost function that we generated. No, sorry. Okay, the cost function that we generated did not change with this params. It just remained same. That's why cost is not defined. Now part of one, even one. First time we can calculate the cost. Right? Cost of okay. So we are not able to do this one as well. And we are getting a one is not defined cost one. Okay, so in one of them we don't have a count 0. So these are the like when I am calculating this thing, so it's saying that it doesn't have any one in it. Like it actually don't have a count that's one. So what we will do is say if counts one is not there. What can I say for that? There was something different. I had this problem earlier too. If one is not counted. Okay. So we can say if one is not in counts, then counts one is equal to 0. Okay. The same goes for one. Like if you do the counts is a directory, right? If you don't have a element that's called one in it, so this thing will give you an error saying that you don't have a directory with which is named one. So you just do that. If 0, then make this one 0 equal to 0. And we will just copy this in all of this. After count, to run it. Okay. What's up? Oh. Okay, yeah, now it works. Okay, wait. It should not be up here. It should be at the count. Okay, now it should work, I guess. We define our cost function. We get this. Now it's running. Yeah. So these are the few things that you will learn by doing the course by yourself. Like if you don't have count one, then how will you get this count 10 and other stuff? So we got our red function. So yes. So the first thing it gives is the array that will give you the minimum uh, cost. This one, cost one. So this is our paras. Uh, with beast cost is equal to red 0. Okay. So these are the parameters that gives us the minimum eigenvalue. What is the minimum eigenvalue? That's -1. And what's the number of step after which we got this thing? Like the number of iteration the Cobila ran. It's 38. So if we just make this 150 only, it should run as well. So it gives this thing and in 47. So that's just where was our EM function? Sorry, params function. This is right cost. We can just calculate the cost that we got from here also. We can just put the ret 0 in it, and we will get this thing. So this is our least eigenvalue that we got from this thing. So let's calculate what's the actual value of it. So the matrix is 2 1 2 1, right? So there is a calculator. It's 1 2 1 1. Yeah, 1 2 1 1 2 2 1. Now let's calculate. What? So it says that it has an eigenvalue 3 and has an eigenvalue -1. So our this thing works. Right? So now can one of you give a matrix that's like Hermitian and of 2 cross 2 matrix? I can like something like uh, anyone you want. Panda? Hello? Panda, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Just give a random Hermitian, right? Hermitian, what the property of Hermitian is just
Two,
conjugate transpose is equal to H. Yeah?
two,
2,
three, three, two,
2, 3.
three, and 3, 2.
Uh, uh, Try something in complex, right? This one is, we can directly see
Yeah.
that -1 will be the -1 will be a eigenvalue, and the other one will be something like, uh, what can I say? Greater than this, at least greater than -1. As 2 plus 3, 2 plus 1 is 3, and 2 plus 1 is 3, then this will be equal to 0. So we can directly say that -1 will be a part of it. Try something in complex, like not complex,
2i
in
3
complexity.
3 minus 2i.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, what? 2,
2i 3 3
2i,
minus
3,
2i
3 minus 2i,
minus
minus
2i.
2i. Okay, so, okay, yeah, that would work. Like it's the complex conjugate of this will be 2i, 3, 3 minus 2i. Yeah, should work, I guess. 2i, 3, 3, 2i. Okay. Uh, so for writing complex in Python, you can just type j. So starting with 2j, 3, then we have 3, and we have a 2j. 2j. Sorry, minus 2j, right? So we, okay, so it called that it's not Hermitian. And why is it not Hermitian? Let's see. What's the formula for Hermitian? Hermitian matrix, let's see. I guess it's summation. That, J3 minus 2J. That's 3 times 2J, 3 minus 2J. Yeah,
Yeah,
A
it
is equal
should
to
be
A.
2j and 2j at all. Sorry, the complex should not be in the diagonals.
Hmm.
It will be 2 3j and minus 3j 2.
But this thing is Hermitian, I guess. I don't know why it's showing some error. The Hamiltonian is not Hermitian. Uh,
No, because the conjugate will be minus 2j 3 2j, and if we take the
uh, yeah,
transpose,
yeah,
it
yeah,
will
yeah,
not
yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just took
It should be
transpose
2
and
3j
conjugate.
and
Yeah, yeah,
minus
yeah,
3j 2.
yeah. So the this one should not be a. So what do you
2
want?
3j and minus 3j 2.
No.
Try
Okay,
minus
it should
3j
be
and 2
minus 3J. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and 2.
Wait.
Okay,
So
2 or
here
minus 2, that will be.
I didn't take the conjugate thing. Sorry, the conjugate thing. I just took transpose out of it. So it should be minus 2i, 3, 2i, and that's not equal to the actual one. Okay. Yeah. So that it should work now. Yeah. So we got minus 3y. So our a is 0, b is 0. This one is minus 3. Z is 0. That is like z is 2, right? You can from here you can also define a function that gives you this abcd. Okay, it's not that. Let's get to where our function is defined. So this is our function. So we just let's say that this is, let it run for a second. We got something like this. We The first thing you can see that the lowest is minus 3.62. Let's calculate it from the circuit as well. So it's something like 3 point. If you just run it again, it will just give you some value as it is probabilistic in nature. So it's
Yeah, I have a
minus,
doubt.
yeah.
Yeah, here the number of jump is 50 and the length of a single jump is 0.001.
No, no, the maximum number. No, 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 not the jump. It's the tolerance. Uh, uh, like Kobila works something like this. Like if you have a graph, initially it will start with a longer jump. Then as the time progresses, it will like decrease it size of the jump. Okay, something like that. Okay, and after a point, there, if we just zoom in that thing and say that this one is 10 to the power minus 3, 1 into 10 to the power minus 3. Let's say this from this to this, it's very enlarged. Then there will be a point where this thing will just drop, and the next value will be more or less equal to the initial one. That's what tolerance is. If I just make it 0 1, it won't even run for a second. Okay. Right. Oh, what if I say that it's 20, 12? So this doesn't work like that. So we just I will take a look on that. But what I know right now is that tolerance is the difference between these two consecutive like iterations, something like that. Sorry. And the 50 is the maximum number of iteration that it can take. If I just make it 10, it will just stop at iteration number 10. this one, this just stops at equation number 10 and gives us this value. Like, let's imagine if I have a complex circuit and I want it to run for just a limited number of steps. Like, I don't want it to run like for infinite loop. Okay, so I just set this thing at some random value, like at what time I want this one to be in, and just gives us that. Okay, if you just print this one, I will get a random value for that also. Okay, so what was the matrix? It's 2, 3, 3 minus 2, right? And this should be minus 3, right? Why is it not minus? Yeah, now it's minus 2, 3. Let's check 2, 3i minus 3i. It's 2 or minus 2? Minus 2. It's, so it's minus 3.6. It's close to what we are getting, right? We got minus 3.588. Okay, so it's a bit close. Yeah, we get probabilistic nature. We can just take 100 of these things and take a mean out of it and say that that's our minimum. But yeah, but let's we can do one thing is to eliminate the probabilistic nature. We can take a higher number of slots. Where did I define the number of slots? Where is it? Yeah, we can just make this one a bit longer and use like this. It won't change that. Yeah, still changing. Okay, so let's try a different one. And one more thing, that Hermitian matrix can't have a like complex eigenvalue. There is a theorem of that. Like Hermitian matrix can't have a complex, so we don't get any complex from it. So let's make something like say 5. Let's say 10. 3 plus 7 iota. 3 minus 7 iota. Okay, so let's put it here. We have 5, 10. We have 5. We have 10. We have 3 plus 7i. 3 plus 7j. 3 minus 7j. That's this one. Oh, 7.5. 3.0 minus 7 minus 2.5. So this one, then let's update our cost function. This is our new cost. This is our iteration that it's running. I don't think it will get in 50. Let's see. It just got a bit low. So there's a 0.53. Let's check it if it's 5, 3.7. Let's see. 5, 10. What's 7 plus 3 plus 7? I got 3 plus 7. 3 minus 7. Let's see if we got this one. Yeah, it's 0.51. Okay, so there you go. You got you calculated the the lowest eigen value of a Hermitian matrix from quantum computer. So, do you guys have any more questions from this? You can try running this one on a quantum computer as well, but this uh, for calculating each iteration, it will send it to a quantum computer, then take it back. So it will take like a day or two. Like for each iteration, it will send the code to quantum computer, then it will be in queue, then it will return that thing. That then again it will send that thing. Like it take 59 short 59 number of iteration to get to this point, right? So if you will be sending 49 qubit, 49 circuits to the quantum computer, so it will take time. That's why I did this thing on simulator. But for research purposes, you can try doing on actual quantum computer as well. Okay, so you guys understood how we get from this to this, the formula to here.
Yeah, I understood.
Okay, so I guess I should stop recording then.